to our main event of the evening, coming to you live on ESPN Plus by way of the UFC APEX Center in Las Vegas. The number 9 ranked middleweight contender Uriah Primetime Hall seeks to add a third win onto his streak as he takes on the Spider, the legendary Anderson Silva, who is adding a third decade onto his already storied UFC career.
Man,
goosebumps.
You just nailed that, man. I mean,
sign him up.
I need a better camera, but y'all can't see that, but it's goosebumps right there, bro.
Yeah, that's impressive. I mean, you just call that, man.
Not even hype for the fight. I got goosebumps.
He's arguably he's on top of a lot of people's pound for pound list as being one of the greatest of all time, and it's kind of hard to dispute. He's been impressive. I just think he's kind of come to the end of the line. He's 45 years old. I kind of wish he would have thrown on the gloves, but I get it, after listening to all these guys talking about it and still having that urge and still wanting to get in there and compete. I mean, I get that part of it, but I just think I would have liked to seen this fight 3, 4, 5 years ago. I just think you probably would have seen a little better matchup. Uriah Hall coming in here, and Uriah Hall was supposed to be the next Anderson Silva. Never quite kind of lived up to that, lived up to the hype. He's kind of come in not looking so good at times. He just hasn't been that impressive. But I kind of think we're seeing a little bit of a resurgence with him. He is coming off a 2-fight win streak. And I think he gets this done. And I see him finishing Anderson Silva. And I think it's going to be – I want to say it's the over-under is 4.5 rounds. I'm going to go with the under 4.5 rounds on this.
Love that look. I agree with that look. Under 4.5.
We agree.
Under 4.5.
Get the weight back on. Get the weight back on.
Seems pretty good, man. But yeah, what can we say about Anderson Silva without giving an entire history lesson on MMA? I mean, the dude revolutionized front kicks. He put Forrest Griffin in a blender. And, I mean, he could still potentially put Uriah Hall in the Matrix. I mean, he's that type of talent. Even at age, what is he, 45? Yeah, he's 45. But he still has, that mentality, that striking mentality. He might not have the reaction time and the athleticism, but he's still an incredible counter striker, as you guys seen in his fight against Israel Adesanya. We all know his pedigree. But anyways, yeah, Uriah Hall, I really feel like he could utilize an arsenal of kicks in this fight against an aging Spider who we've seen hurt with leg kicks in the past. His most recent fight against Jared Cannonier, you guys remember he got hurt his leg against Chris Weidman. So attacking the lower body is something that you could really implement. And yeah, that under 4.5, I just feel like is money for Uriah Hall. This is a battle of counter strikers, and this could potentially be a boring 5-round fight. But I just feel like the youth and the determination of Uriah Hall is really going to come into effect. He's got those amazing spinning kicks. He has highlights of his own. But, yeah, go ahead and give me Uriah Hall inside the distance, probably via TKO. I think if he really looks at the tape of Anderson Silva's last couple of fights, he'll see that his legs are just not what they used to. I mean, he's taken a lot of damage over the years, and he's 45. So, Uriah Hall, inside the distance, TKO.
Who doesn't want to pick Anderson Silva? I mean, you want to, but he's 45. This is not a young man's game, or this is not an old man's game. And Uriah Hall isn't some young buck himself. So because of that, I am picking Uriah Hall via decision. I agree. They're two counter strikers. I actually think it's going to be a pretty slow pace. It'll have moments of upticks in exchanges, but I think it's going to be a fairly slow pace, high level chess game. And I think we're going to see them play a point match fighting. Basically, I think Uriah Hall wins. Anderson is always been very good and very cautious about, especially in the later rounds or in his later years, mixing in with people's power. If you notice, he didn't engage a whole lot with Israel Adesanya, and I see that fight going very similar to this one. And Izzy didn't put him away. When you have two counter strikers and two elite strikers that play that high level of a chess game in the striking game, I just think that's what you're going to get. I just think you're going to get a slow place chess game. And Uriah Hall's little bit of youth and might have some better moments in the fight is going to win him probably a pretty decisive, I'm going to call 49-46 victory.
One thing to add real quick onto what Zack said about that decision was that the last time that Silva landed more significant strikes than his opponent was 6 fights ago against Nick Diaz. So, you know, if there's going to be a decision, you probably will get out-volumed.
It's no secret with Uriah Hall. You know what to expect. And obviously with Anderson Silva, he's a true great at the game. He's got 1 win in 7 years. And I think it's very clear that his time is up. And he's already said this will be his last UFC fight. I think he said this might not be his last MMA fight, but this is definitely his last UFC fight. And with Hall, again, he's a pure striker at heart who has those heavy hands. With that potential one-punch knockout potential, he uses his knees and his legs very well. And he's a bit of an impressive athlete at times. He's unpredictable on his feet and very accurate with those shots. And I just think there's a clear path to victory with Hall in this one. I think he does get it done inside the distance. I think he'll get it done in the third. I think it's very clear that Anderson Silva's time is up, and I think with primetime Hall, I think he's had a couple of fight cancellations. He was supposed to fight Jacare Souza a couple of times, supposed to fight Yoel Romero in August. So I think he's clearly the hungrier fighter going into this one. I think he will get it done inside the distance. I'm going to go for a third round TKO.